Hiya and welcome back. Today I'm going to be wrapping up the books that I read between January and April this year. Now that is obviously quite a large amount of time, so because that's quite a lot of books, it's actually 40 books for me. I've read far more than I expected to in the first few months of this year. I am going to be limiting my wrap up of each book to a 1-sentence review. So hopefully give you a little flavour of the book or how I felt about it. I do put at least a small review of every book that I read on Storygraph. It's something that I have been trying to prioritise this year, particularly when I'm reading indie books. It's always good for authors to have some form of review. So if you check out my Storygraph, you can see extended thoughts of any of the books that I mention. So for each book, I will let you know the genre and also the main relationship that is involved, because most of them are romance, just to give you an idea, but I'm not going to go into any other details than that. So let's get started. Book 1, Which Boyfriend Wanted by Colette Rivera, which is an paranormal romance. Fun characters, fake dating, familiar faces, great read. Book 2, Siren in Bloom by Sophie Oake, which is an romantic suspense. Love the mix of characters from the Sirens and Bliss series and seeing these three get their HEA. Book 3, Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan, which is an MF fantasy. Such an incredibly beautiful fantasy. Book 4, Falling for the Fugitive by Lila Gwyn, FF urban fantasy. Really enjoyed seeing more of the bounty hunters and the different magic. Book 5, Rosemary and Rue by Shauna Maguire, MF urban fantasy. Interesting setup, but took me so long to get into. Book 6, Guarded Desires by Anna Stone, FF contemporary romance. Bodyguard romances are the best type of super rich person romances. Book 7, A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair, MF fantasy. Love an assassin fantasy when it's done well like this is. Book 8, Daughter of Tides by Kit Rocha, which is an MF fantasy romance, and I read a review copy. Great being back in this world with a fresh location and new main characters. Book 9, Love by Her by Brianna Michaels, which is an MF paranormal romance. These two are so dysfunctional, so toxic, but also so hot. Book 10, Pure Bliss by Sophie Oake, MMF romantic suspense. Second chance, but for being brothers, not for the relationship. Nice twist. Book 11, Waking the Bear by Kerry Adrian, MF paranormal romance. Bear shifters are always fun. Book 12, Undead at Large by Lila Gwyn, FF urban fantasy. Great conclusion to the trilogy, with The Witches a particular highlight. Book 13, Curse of the Goddess by Cici Gonzalez, FF fantasy romance. Loved the wild concept and the forced proximity, but would have preferred a few less spicy scenes. Book 14, Stuck by Her by Brianna Michaels, MF paranormal romance. These two have a lot of trauma, but I like the practicality this brought to fated mates. Book 15, Firebird by Juliet Cross, MF fantasy romance, and this was a review copy. Brutal fated mates fantasy that I enjoyed but won't be for everyone. Book 16, House of Agnes by Fiona Zedde, FF romantic suspense, and this was a review copy. Great combination of suspense, steam, and sex worker positivity. Book 17, Paint the Moon by Katia Rose, FF contemporary romance, and this was a review copy. Brother's ex-fiancé is my new favourite trope. Book 18, The Darkest Night by Gina Showalter, MF paranormal romance. Loved some parts, but really disliked others. Book 19, Sweet Obsession by Katie Robert, MM dark romance, and this was a review copy. Dark and steamy, but surprisingly soft and sweet. Book 20, The Warrior King by Abigail Owen, MF fantasy romance. I was excited for my dragon half once my king's betrothed, and I wasn't disappointed. Book 21, Pursuing the Bear by Kerry Adrian, MF Paranormal Romance. Opening scenes were so much fun and definitely a highlight for me. Book 22, One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, FF Contemporary Romance. So glad I finally picked this up. Book 23, Up All Night in Bliss by Sophie Oake, MMF Contemporary Romance. Babies, babies, too much about babies. Book 24, Heart of the Sun Warrior by Sulin Tan, MF Fantasy. Made me cry, but then annoyed me with needless teenage-style love triangle angst. Book 25, Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tooley, MF Fantasy Romance. Love a heroine who enjoys the opportunity she has rather than worrying what society will think. Book 26, House of Crimson Kisses by Ruby Rowe, FF Fantasy Romance. Would have liked a little more plot and a little less spice, but mostly because I enjoyed the plot. Book 27, Bound to Her Bear by Ariel Murray, FF Paranormal Romance. Interesting plot setup, but I'd have preferred that storyline over a full-length novel. Book 28, Innkeeper Graphic Novel Volume 2 Clean Sweep by Elena Andrews and Cross XXX Rhodes, MF Urban Fantasy. Fun way to revisit one of my favourite worlds. Book 29, Chasing Bliss by Sophie Oake, MMF Romantic Suspense. Love the main characters, but love the rest of the community even more. Book 30, House of Crimson Curses by Ruby Rowe, FF Fantasy Romance. Not my favourite series ending, but didn't stop me liking the series. Book 31, My Best Friend's Honeymoon by Meryl Wilsner, FX Contemporary Romance, and I read a review copy. Really enjoyed this one. I'd just been expecting a new favourite, which it sadly wasn't. Book 32, Taming the Lion by Kerry Adrian, MF Paranormal Romance. Seeing the lions was kind of cool, but mostly I was just here for a strong heroine. Book 33, The 7-10 Split by Carmen Lee, FF Contemporary Romance. 10-pin bowling romance is definitely a new one for me. Book 34, The Cursed King by Abigail Owen, MF Fantasy Romance. This finale wasn't my favourite book in the series, but still very enjoyable. Book 35, Hot Shot by Claire Lydon, FF Contemporary Romance. Not often that I am so invested in football matches. Book 36, The Midnight Couch by Jay, FF Contemporary Romance. Really cute short story. Book 37, Loath to Love You by Ali Hazelwood, MF Contemporary Romance Anthology. Enjoyed all three of these stories, but think the roommate revenge plots were my favourite. Book 38, Crazy Hearts by Lisa Helen Gray, FF Romantic Suspense. Such a beautiful, if dark, best friends to lovers romance with the most amazing ride or die friend group. Book 39, Food Isn't Medicine by Joshua Woolrich, non-fiction. Rare non-fiction pick for me, but a great read for anyone caught up in wellness or diet culture. Book 40, Rule of the Aurora King by Nisha J. Tooley, MF Fantasy Romance. The angst was next level, but it was such a great fantasy romance installment. So there you go, that was somehow 40 books. So everything that I read over those 4 months. As I say, I actually read slightly more than I thought I was going to. I've definitely been finding my feet a bit this year with a few changes that have been happening. But I'm still loving reading, and that's the important thing. And I'm doing pretty well on my goals. I'll do a mid-year goal update in a couple of months, but it's going pretty well. So I'm very happy with that. Please let me know if you have read any of the books that I've mentioned, or there's any that you're kind of intrigued by and want to know a bit more about. And I will see you soon. Bye!